Hey everybody, this post is going to be a little longer than 90 seconds because I can't say what I want to say in that short amount of time. The other day, one of my team members told me that there are some who are a little curious or even confused about any measure of joy you see in me as I do these daily posts. How could I be smiling? How could I be laughing? How could I be, you know, having enthusiasm? And I want to address that today, and hopefully it will help some of you. First thing I want to say is I don't fully have an answer for that. I mean, the Bible does talk about the joy of the Lord, and that means it's a joy that is not a source from anything on earth, not your circumstances, not even from yourself. That's why it's called the Lord's joy, the joy of the Lord. And I believe he gives his joy to those who need it most and in the measure they need it when they need it. I think I'm experiencing a supernatural measure of his joy. I know his grace, I live on it. And it's really his power, is his grace. And so the joy that you see in me isn't fake. And it doesn't mean I don't suffer. I mean, I sit on the couch, I sleep on the couch next to my wife's bed. It's in the living room now, and I see her suffering. I have to wake up in the middle of the night to make sure she's breathing. It makes me sad. It makes me mad. It makes me frustrated. I talk to God about it all the time, and I do everything I can to try to change the circumstance. There are times when I just stare off into space. There are times when I just stare down at the table if I'm at a Starbucks or a restaurant or wherever, and I just kind of, if I start imagining what life would be like without her, it's a miserable thought. I mean, my wife is the very heart of our home. Psalm 128 says that your wife shall be a fruitful vine in the very heart of your house, and your children, olive plants all around your table. And that's what I had. It was my dream since I was a single man. And now it looks like the thief is trying to kill, steal, and destroy that dream. And it really makes me sad and mad and frustrated when I think about life without her. It's almost unbearable to think about. What I do know though is even if she did go to heaven, I know we'll be okay because I've watched God restore people's lives for 40 years. And he is God. He's the God of new beginnings. I don't want that. I'm not hoping for it. I'm not praying for it. But I know that even though we would go through a season of tremendous pain, my friends might have to scrape me off the pavement. But I do have a lot of those friends. And that's another thing that has sustained me and brings me joy is I have so many friends that are praying for me and counseling me and helping me. And and I reach out to them. And so, but here's the other thing I do, which I think is really important, which, ties into these videos. I learned a long time ago that when you're in suffering, you can't just sit, soak, and sour in your own suffering. You've got to help others in their suffering. That's why I do these videos. I care about you. I want to help you in your suffering as you're helping me in my suffering. And as you do that, the love of God flows through you. The wisdom of God flows through you. The power of God flows through you, and the anointing, the life of Christ flows through you, and it actually gives you life as you're giving out. And so, any measure of joy you see in me is not hype, it's not fake. It really is real, but I also live with a lot of frustration and sorrow all at the same time. It's just part of life. But I'll tell you, I'm going to end with this. If you look in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, Paul, who was struggling with something that he couldn't change in his life, and he was crying out to God, it says that he learned that in his weakness to rejoice because the power of Christ rests on him when he's weak. And God called that his grace. I believe the power of Christ is resting upon me. But you see, he was pressing into God. He was calling out to God. I do that all the time. I talk to him. I call out to him. I process with him. And I stay connected to him and to others. And through that, God's grace is sustaining me. I know he'll do the same for you. Stay connected to God, and you'll experience his joy even in suffering. God bless.